here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. What should happen if, in fact, an American president or an American president-elect has interfered with or has accepted interference by a foreign government in our election process? Is that serious business? The Democrats are going all out on this, that the Russians interfered and that we need to have intelligence reviews by the electors. Now, some time ago, and it's been repeated by the backbenchers all over the media, I said there's really two different issues here. Number one is whether the Russians actually influenced this election, and they did not. Number two, whether the Russians are involved in cyber war with the United States, and they are, in fact, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, among others. And that we need a blue ribbon panel, take it away from politicians in Congress to investigate this and get to the bottom of it for multiple reasons. National security reasons, private property reasons, technological reasons, intelligence reasons, blackmail reasons, 1,000 reasons. This is America. Don't much give a damn about either political party. But they should get to the bottom of this. Not for the reasons the Democrats want, but I'm not going to do that show again. But I have a question to ask you. What if Vladimir Putin interfered with our election? Or let me pose it this way. What if Barack Obama interfered with the election in Israel when he was trying to defeat Benjamin Netanyahu? Let me put it that way. Oh, yeah. You remember that? Sure you do now, right? The same party, with the same party leader, with this President of the United States, who had no problem at all interfering with the election of a prime minister in another country. Now they're wringing their hands. And let me tell you something. In the case of Obama and his thugs, there's fingerprints all over this stuff. Absolutely. Should he have been impeached for that? Did the Democrats jump up and down over that? Did our Praetorian Guard media jump up and down over that? When we know, as a matter of fact, that Obama and his surrogates, through this group One Voice, tried to topple Netanyahu, tried to elect his opponents? Well, I think it's worth going down memory lane just briefly. And I'm sure all you liberal Democrats out there are going to be sitting on the edge of your seat, wanting to hear every bit of this. Because it's not about Putin, who I happen to despise, by the way, despite the bizarre love affair some pseudo-conservatives have with him. But it's about our president, who I also happen to despise. The One Voice campaign, this is in the Jerusalem Post, but it was everywhere, was funded in part by their State Department grant. That is, an NGO used U.S. tax dollars in an anti-Netanyahu election campaign, the Senate finds. The Senate Subcommittee on Investigations published a report finding that One Voice, an international nonprofit organization once funded by the State Department, actively campaigned against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during Israel's 2015 parliamentary elections. Their campaign was funded in part by their State Department grant, the report found. One Voice entered the headlines in 2015 after absorbing V15, an Israeli group that actively campaigned against the Netanyahu government. 1 year earlier, One Voice had successfully secured a $300,000 State Department grant. V-15 founder Nimrod, I like that name, and he is, Nimrod Dweck, or is it Dreck, responded by highlighting the conclusion of the report, that State Department funds allocated to One Voice were not used during the period of V-15's campaign. The campaign was funded solely by private individuals, Israelis and Jews in Israel and abroad, he said. One Voice defended itself, noting in a statement the Senate report found the group in full compliance with the terms of its grants. Aaron Shaviv, the Likud strategist in 2015 election, said the report provided that his party faced more than the Zionist Union in the race, and he goes on. Notably, the investigation was signed off by members of both parties. Unusual for this type of report. Subcommittee Chairman Robert Portman, member Claire McCaskill drew different conclusions. Of course they did. The Democrats are, in essence, mafioso. But how do you like that? Oh, well, what should we do about that? No, nothing. So Obama goes after the Prime Minister of Israel through a few of his surrogate thugs that run this nonprofit organization. The State Department granted $300,000 to this umbrella organization, and the money becomes fungible, in one pocket, out the other, in one account, out the other. And the whole purpose was for our government, run by our president, your president, not mine actually, but Obama, to topple the Netanyahu government and install a left-wing government more to his liking. Now, this is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. This is indisputable. We don't even need an investigation. It's an indisputable fact that Obama played a big role in the election in another country. And he's done this before, too. When he does his little stupid press conferences, well, they're not little, but they are stupid, where he goes on and on and on, suggesting I support this candidate, Merkel would be very good, you know, I'm against Brexit. He does this all the time. He does it all the time. But this was different. This time it was different. This time there was a direct effort by our government, by Obama and his cronies at the State Department, and his surrogate cronies with these nonprofit front groups, to topple the government of another country, an ally, a democracy, and the same party that defended him, and the same party that encouraged him, and the same party that wanted the leftists to win, is now chasing shadows. What is the purpose of the Democrat Party in this country? I've been giving this a lot of thought myself. What is the goal of the Democrat Party in this country? It's organized. It's bigger than the Republican Party. They have more members than the Republican Party. And yes, Hillary Clinton got more votes than Donald Trump. Fine. What is the purpose of the Democrat Party in this country? It despises our economic system. This is why Bernie Sanders almost won. And I laugh at the idiot conservatives and Republicans. They're not really conservatives, the quasi-conservatives, who are defending Bernie Sanders against Hillary Clinton and the DNC. Who gives a crap? Sanders is a commie. Let them chew up each other. But the guy's 74 years old. He's an out-of-closet commie. And he comes in big way, second, behind Hillary. And Hillary herself is a hardcore leftist. What is the purpose? This is the question I'm going to put on the table, Mr. Call Screener. In America, what is the purpose of the Democrat Party? They oppose the military. They oppose law enforcement. They oppose our constitutional system. They oppose capitalism. They oppose the sovereignty of a nation state and a border. What is the purpose of the Democrat Party? Where do they want to take this country? Where do they want to take us? How much further do they want to take us down this road? Apparently a lot further. So the question on the table, The biggest political party in America, which I would argue these days led by anti-Americans. That's right, I said it. Where do they want to take us? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
By the way, this question is not limited to those who are not Democrats. What is the purpose of the Democrat Party? As I listen to its spokesmen and spokeswomen, as I observe their positions on so many issues, it doesn't sound like they want to preserve and defend the United States and its principles. It doesn't sound like they want to uphold faithfully the Constitution of the United States. It doesn't sound like they actually believe in citizenship with their open borders policies. It doesn't sound like they believe in the American culture as they support balkanization and non-assimilation. It doesn't sound like they want the United States to have a strong military as they constantly eviscerate the military. It doesn't sound like they believe in law and order and peace in the streets and safety in the streets as they're constantly attacking the cops. It doesn't sound like they believe in private property rights, given their class warfare and constant demands for massive taxes and regulations. So what is this crap? What is this party? The majority party in the United States, which is, by the way, why I say time and again, I think there's 30 or 35% of us who get this idea of liberty, and fewer of us who do. And again, as I say, all this great swirling debate, because the Democrats and the liberals drive the media agenda. Even the new media agenda, they drive it. They just drive it. That's the mindset of the country. Whatever the liberals decide, that's the mindset of the country. They decide that Vladimir Putin, who is a despicable killer, he's involved now with the Syrian killers. They're flattening a city in Syria called Aleppo. They're flattening it. And every human being in it. We haven't seen anything like this since World War II. It's amazing. When thousands of missiles are shot into that little country, Israel, by Hamas and Hezbollah and all the other in-your-throat gutter snipes. And they fight back. It's the whole world's attention as the Israelis try to humanely defend themselves. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin, our new buddy over there, right, Exxon? Right, Trump Towers, our new buddy, Vladimir Putin, is blowing a city off the face of the earth and all the little kids with it. But that wasn't my point. Now we're all focused intently. Did the Russians deliver Trump the election? Did they deny Hillary Clinton the election? No, Hillary Clinton denied Hillary Clinton the election. And the idiot Democrats who nominated her. But I do believe that Putin and Xi and Fat Boy over there in North Korea and the Islamo-Nazi in Tehran are committing acts of cyber war against us. And it's time we fight back. And it's time we shoot a few equivalent of heat-seeking missiles into their banking system. And into the equivalent of the Pentagon. And shoot a few over there. Instead of, I don't know, the Democrats, the Republicans. Anyway, what's the Democrat Party stand for? Why is there a Democrat Party? Certainly not a pro-American party, in my humble opinion. John, Mountainside, New Jersey, the great WABC. Go.
Mr. Levin, it's an honor and privilege to speak with you. You're a great patriot.
Thank you, sir. Very kind of you.
I have a simple answer. The Democratic Party nowadays is to create turmoil and dismay and disarray so that they can step in and take control, and it's all about control. That's all it is.
What is their end game here? I mean, I know it's control, but control for what purpose? To create this phony utopia on Earth?
They think they can create a utopia. There's no such thing as utopia. You know that.
I wrote a whole book on it.
Exactly.
But no, you're right.
Sin.
All right. So, well, do you think their intentions are naive or their intentions are evil?
I believe that the people in charge...
At least the leadership. Yeah, go ahead. You're right.
The leadership is evil. The people that follow them are naive.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, I'm a 45-year-old small business owner with 3 boys. I'm a veteran. I've spoken with you once before. My 3 boys listen to the podcast every morning when I get ready in the morning, so they love
thank
me
you.
as well.
Thank you, and thank them. Now, I think you're on to it. I think there's more to it, but let's see what other people have to say.
Can I ask one favor of you?
Sure.
I'm going to get CRTV. I don't need it. I'm going to get it. But can I please bring it to my son's school, and can they watch it with me?
I'm going to give you CRTV. Whether you take it to school or not is up to you, but I think it would be a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah.
Don't hang up, my friend, and you can watch it right on your iPhone or your Android device. I think Levin TV is on the 180th episode, isn't it, Rich? Something like that. What is the purpose of this Democrat Party, since it seems to advance policies and promote principles that are utterly un-American? And as I say, Democrats are free to call. We have our special liberal line here, you know. Yes, we do. 877, what is it, Mr. Producer? Oh, right. 877-381-3811. Isn't that it? 877-381-3811. That's our liberal line. Jeff, Savannah, Georgia, the great WTKS. Quickly, my friend, go.
Yes, Mark. George Washington, in his farewell speech, warned against the government going into two-party politics, and I think what he was warning against was we know little d democracy is a good thing, but we established this great republic where we elect people to vote for us, and I think he was warning against going to straight democracy because the whole premise of the Democrat Party
Jeff, don't hang up. I'm going to carry over. I like where you're headed. Don't hang up. It's a very, very important point. And we're going to underscore it. Question on the table for this hour, and I don't put questions on the table all the time, but I'm really curious to know what you think. What the hell is this Democrat Party really trying to do to the country? We'll be right back. By the way, some idiot writing at Salon, which is a nest of idiots, left-wing kooks and babblers and knuckleheads and the like. I am partly responsible for the alt-right. Did you know this, Mr. Producer? Now, the websites that attack me as the Jew, pretty fascinating, isn't it? So now, ladies and gentlemen, if you actually stick with the Constitution, you stick with the history of the country, you're objecting to these nation-killing deficits each year and the overall debt. You want to build up the United States military. You want to secure the border. You're fed up with the Republican establishment. Now, I am in part responsible for the alt-right, which I've been condemning now for months. It shows you how sick these people are. Absolutely drunk on their own stupidity. Now, back to the point. What is the purpose? What is the objective of the Democrat Party? And I felt Jeff was doing a pretty good job there. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yes, Mark. I was saying that, when I hear people saying we need to get rid of electoral college and go to popular vote, it's just proving to me the whole premise of the Democrat Party is flawed because we're a republic. We elect people to vote for us. We are not a democracy. Our founding fathers knew straight democracy didn't work, but little d democracy was good, and they came up with this ingenious system, which is, our form of government. And the whole thing I don't get is why there is a Democrat Party. My point was George Washington warned against the government going to two-party politics or two-party government in his farewell speech. And I think what he was saying is we know little d democracy is good, and we want little d democracy, but we find a better way to do it.
All right, Jeff, I appreciate your call. I'm not sure about that last part, but I want to thank you for triggering some of my thoughts here. I'm all triggered up here. I don't know. I was just triggered. Anyway, I want to address this briefly. This democracy stuff. If we were a democracy, ladies and gentlemen, we wouldn't be following John Locke and Montesquieu, and we wouldn't be following the framers of the Constitution or even the founders, because he was exactly correct. But why? Why shouldn't we be a little democracy? Why aren't we just all populists? And whatever the people want, the people get. Why aren't we just all populists? Get rid of the Electoral College. Right? If you're a populist, I assume you want to get rid of the Electoral College, because the Electoral College is not about populism. It's about republicanism. It's about federalism. So why shouldn't we support these things? You know, 100 years or more ago, they did support these things. That's how we got rid of the Senate. This Senate we have now is a bastardization of what the framers intended. Should the direct election of senators try and take that away, right? Which we should, if we believe in a republic, but again, that's for another day. So the whole idea of propositions, voting on propositions, 100 or so years ago. In fact, I want you to Google, when you have time, the Progressive Party, or the Bull Moose Party, that Theodore Roosevelt ran under, and look at his agenda, in part. And the Democrats, also a Progressive Party at the time, under Woodrow Wilson. Now, they had some differences. Some might call them significant. I call them really irrelevant. But they had some differences. Roosevelt believed in trust busting. And Woodrow Wilson said, well, why should we have trust busts at all? Let's just make monopolies illegal. And he went on and on and on. So in any event, this direct democracy thing has been part of the progressive movement for over a century. Now, why would they support direct democracy as opposed to republicanism? And you even hear it in Bernie Sanders' communism about the people. More direct democracy. Why do they support direct democracy? The answer is they don't. The answer is they use that as camouflage. They go through the motions of direct democracy votes, of popular votes. And this is where the overlap with the populists on the pseudo-right and the populists on the progressive statist left takes place. But for the progressive statists on the left, they don't really care about the vote unless they win. Their whole point is to hijack the governmental entity and to manipulate it and transition it and fundamentally transform it into what they want. And so more and more of the government is protected from the voter. So on the one hand, they can say, hey, we believe in popular votes. We believe in democracy. Isn't that right? Let's pretend we get rid of the Electoral College and they win their elections, right? Or let's do it this way. Let's pretend we get rid of the Electoral College and we win the election. Do you think they're going to say that's fair and square? Now, you go ahead and implement your mandate? No, they're not going to say that. They control the bureaucracy. They're going to use the courts. They're going to use the unelected institutions, some of which they've created, some of which they've bastardized, to advance their agenda. I've said this to you before. We have votes in states on a whole number of issues. By legislatures, by proposition and so forth. We have votes on same-sex marriage, on abortion, on you name it. And when they lose, they run to the courts to get the issue nationalized. They run to the courts to get the issue nationalized. If a state votes, the people vote, and they want voter ID. Does the left say, okay, the popular will wins? We believe in little d democracy? No. They run to the courts to try and kill it. What I'm trying to tell you is, This whole notion of little d democracy is a fraud. Now, those of us who don't believe in that, who believe in republicanism, we understand a couple of things. We understand that the American Revolution was not about pure democracy. It was about individualism. It was about unalienable rights. It was about God-given eternal truths. In other words, it was about protecting the individual and that circle of liberty I talk about around each of us in an ordered society where there's stability, where there's equality under the law, where there are representative institutions, a civil society. Not that you get to vote on everything. You don't get to vote on what my property rights are. You don't get to vote on what my gun rights are. You don't get to vote on whether I have due process. You don't get to vote on a zillion things that affect my life. That's the difference. That's the point. We do not believe in government interference endlessly in the right of the individual. They do, and they pretend that that's the will of the people as they create these autocracies, these centralized, iron-fisted governments with a zillion bureaucrats to implement their demands. That's what the Democrat Party's all about. Barack Obama never spoke truer words. Fundamental transformation. What is their end game, ladies and gentlemen? Well, others have written about it. Plato, Thomas More, numbers. Plato, in the Republic, doesn't create a republic. Plato's republic is not a republic. Plato's republic is a totalitarian regime. All these fools out there talking about Plato's republic, they haven't even read it because it's not an easy read. I told you this funny story. It's a footnote in history. John Adams used to praise Plato in the Republic, and then one day he actually read it. And he said, what the hell have I been praising this for? Exactly. Thomas More, his book Utopia. Now, I understand there's a debate. Most people think it was a fiction. Some of us don't think it was a fiction. But even if it was a fiction, even more the case. He creates what is, in essence, he didn't know it at the time, a communist society, a communal society. Pure democracy, of course. Pure democracy. That's why when somebody calls you a conservative, a purist, it shows you what an ignoramus they are. You're not demanding pure anything. You want the government to comply with the Constitution. That doesn't mean we don't debate over what that is. It means there are certain parameters, certain boundaries that the government shouldn't cross. And we can debate what should happen within those boundaries. We can debate what states should do, localities should do, what the court should do. But there are certain basic rules that the Constitution sets out that we should follow. You must be a purist. Anybody who calls you a purist is an ignoramus. Because you're not a purist. You're a constitutionalist. Mr. Producer, am I boring the whole damn world here? Or should I talk about, well, this guy was appointed, this guy here, I got one over there, I go over there. By the way, speaking of that, did you read Ivanka Trump is going to have her own office in the West Wing? Did you hear that, Mr. Producer? What is this? A left-wing Democrat, 35 years old, is going to have her own office it's going to have the First Lady's office. The First Lady staying in New York. So Ivanka is going to be in charge of climate change. Because she knows as much about climate change as Barack Obama. And she's going to be doing it from the West Wing. Well, that's very cool. Really, I really think that's wonderful. And then I read that Eric had a role in interviewing or the role in the State Department nominee. What the hell is that? And Don Jr. in Interior Department because he's a hunter? Well then, I I should have a role in who the agriculture secretary is going to be. You want to know why, Mr. Producer? Because I'm lactose intolerant, for crying out loud.
Mark Levin.
You know, I've said it before. Anyone trying to solve a problem, make a difference, or lead a nation needs a plan. Then they need to carry it out. Well, here's a patriot with a plan and the courage to make it happen. A few years ago, veteran and small business owner Dan Weber, well, he got fed up with the AARP's liberal agenda, so he fought back. He founded his own organization, a conservative alternative. And you've heard me talk about them many times, AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC declared that America is rising against out-of-control spending, illegal immigration, and Washington's lack of accountability. And today AMAC is over 1 million members strong and counting. You need to join us. I'm a member too. As a member, you'll be able to take advantage of many unbelievable discounts and benefits that AMAC has to offer. Save money while you fight for a better America. Here's what you do. Call 888-262-2006. 888-262-2006. Or you can go online. amac.us. That's www.amac.us. Now, my friends, join or renew your AMAC membership today. Check out their site. I mean, it really is a terrific organization. Let's take a few more calls here. Ooh. Let me see. Let us go to Frank on Long Island, the great WABC. How are you, Frank?
Hello, Mark.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
May I first say, God bless you, Mark. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and a Happy Hanukkah. You are a great American, and it is an honor and privilege for me to speak with you tonight.
Well, you're very kind, and same to you, my friend.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. First of all, I on one of your earlier calls, you asked a caller if he thought that if these Democrats are evil. Well, there's one thing I have to say about that. Since socialism, statism, communism, whatever you want to call it, leads to pain for everyone, yes, I do believe it is evil. So if socialism is evil and statism is evil, then those people that believe in it are too.
I think those people who are in a position to advance it are unquestionably evil. Absolutely.
Yes, and I think that's a very important thing that I guess maybe the citizenry needs to know. And you know, in my view, Democrats want to destroy this country. They want to destroy. They don't believe in liberty or freedom or capitalism. They certainly don't. They want to destroy it. They're not happy with just dealing with it or peacefully coexisting with it. And really, can you really coexist socialism and capitalism anyway? It's really not even possible.
Well, how can you coexist? How can liberty and socialism coexist?
Right. And
When the point of liberty, actually, the original point of the revolution was private property rights.
Is that right? Okay. So.
Well, yeah, the original point was commerce. That's one of the reasons I have to laugh at these fools going on and on about protectionism and tariffs. But in any event, Frank, thank you, sir, for your call. I appreciate it. Forrest, Dallas, Texas, the great WBAP. Go.
Okay. I work at a big telecom, and we have a very clear vision statement: connect people with their world, everywhere they live, work, and play, and do it better.
Just slow down,
okay.
So everybody can understand you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What you're asking, I believe, in terms of what is the Democrat Party's purpose, is what is their vision? And I've, exercised my brain here on the way home. Here's what I would say, Mark. It is to bring about a United States of America wherein the enlightened it exercised benevolent control over people, property, practices, and policies. Something that simple. The why that you asked an earlier caller.
Well, let me slow you down. Benevolent control over, but it never remains benevolent, does it?
No, I know, but you're asking what they would. I'm coming at it from their point of view. Well, now, I want you to come in. If the liberals and Democrats want to call in and tell us what they want to do, that's fine. I don't want to psychoanalyze. I want you to tell me what you think they're doing, not what they think they're doing. Why do you think they're doing it? I think they're doing it. This is the why. Just like we do what we do to increase share owner value, they're doing it to enrich and empower the enlightened.
So to enrich and empower the enlightened, meaning the handful of masterminds.
That's it. That's the why. Absolutely. I do believe that it's all about.
So it's a form of totalitarianism.
Yes.
It's a totalitarian mindset.
Absolutely, without a doubt. I mean.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, Forrest, good call, my friend. I appreciate it. Well, all of the board is lit up. I want to get into some other things, but we'll keep this one out there too. Okay. It's a very simple question. What does the Democrat Party? What is the purpose of the Democrat Party? And my own view. Is the purpose of the Democrat Party is to destroy America and replace it with something else. Now, they can't quite explain it other than their platitudes, but that's the purpose, in my view. We'll be right back. We still have this guy, Keith Ellison, hanging around, ladies and gentlemen, as the Democrats try to figure out who to make the head of the Democrat National Committee. Now, as you well know, I was the first and earliest non-Democrat to endorse Keith Ellison, a.k.a. Keith X, to be chairman of the Democrat National Committee. I thought he had all the requisite credentials. He's an anti-Semite who spent a lot of time with Farrakhan's organization. He is trashing Israel every chance he gets. He has connections to a Muslim Brotherhood front group. He has connections to CARE. He's backed by Bernie Sanders, a fake Jew, may I say, is a Jew. He's backed by the other idiot. What is his name? Can't remember his name. Chuck Schumer. So many of them. That is idiots. Who is a complete fraud and self-hater. Liberalism first, right, Chuck? Not even liberalism. Totalitarianism. You know, it would be nice if Chuck Schumer would smile every now and then, but then again, that constipated look is the Chuck Schumer look. And they all back Keith Ellison, as does the ultra-leftist and 1/412th Cherokee Indian, I believe, Elizabeth Warren. Self-proclaimed, I might add. Now, I don't normally do this because nobody watches the morning schmo other than apparently Donald Trump watches the show, but really nobody else does. Because you got the morning schmo and Mika Brzezinski, the Ed McMahon of the team there. Do you remember, Mr. Producer, when they left their radio show and they said they were leaving for a short respite to reconfigure, rework their show, and they would be coming back on radio? You remember that? What are they doing, shortwave radio or something? I don't know. So here's Keith Ellison on the Morning Schmo, MSLSD, hat tip, real clear politics, cut one, go.
What are your responses to the CNN reporting and other people that bring up this past?
I think that it is bad reporting because I have a 10-year record in Congress. I have a 4-year record in the Minnesota State House. I practiced law for 16 years and did a lot. I mean, and I just think that, you know, it's just that kind of reporting that, you know, just that sort of is not quality and doesn't help people understand.
Well, I want Mr. Producer, I want you to reach out again to Mr. Ellison, Keith X, and tell him he's right. You know, we can't trust all these news reports about his background, his associations, things he said, the video that exists. So we want to invite Keith X on the program, on the Mark Levin Show. And I want to go through, point by point, his associations, things that he has said, play a video with the audio, and he can tell us if that's really him or if somebody's dressed up to look like him. Maybe we can inquire further just to give him a chance. What are his true associations with the Muslim Brotherhood front group? His true associations with the group CARE and their ties to Hamas. I'm perfectly prepared to give Keith X an opportunity to to explain himself on the program. But Keith Ellison said more to the Morning Schmo. Cut two, go.
Do you believe that Louis Farrakhan is an anti-Semite?
Sure, but I mean, what does he have to do with anything going on in this race or this country at this time? Absolutely nothing.
Well, CNN says that you've said some positive things about Minister Farrakhan, a role model for black youth.
But here's the thing, Joe. We're talking about something that happened in 1995.
Right.
This was a year then the Million Man March took off.
Right.
People were attacking the march at the time. The march was a very good thing.
Whoa. Slow down, Keith X. Just about the march. You were there almost 2 years, bro. Had a lot of nice things to say about the minister. We have recent video. I believe it's from either IJ or the Free Beacon. Can't recall. Maybe neither. Your comments, sir? So we would like to invite Keith X again on the program and to go over these things, because if he's being besmirched, if he's being victimized by the system, by the man, well, we want to clear that up, because I don't want him to be victimized by the man. I don't want him to be victimized by the white power structure and the supremacy movement. I want to give him an opportunity to speak. And Keith X, nobody can even watch you on the morning schmo. You're watched by 12 people, and that's half the Trump family. Nobody else is watching. You come on this show, you'll be heard by millions. So we want to encourage him to come on the program. Anyway, go right ahead, Mr. Producer.
To be part of it, but here I am having to answer questions about this, and I'm not talking about what our country needs to look like and what the Democratic Party can do, because this smear campaign from almost 21 years ago.
Right.
Whoa. Well, the length of time between your association is not a smear campaign. That has nothing to do with smear, sir. But we have more recent stuff. I can present you more recent stuff. I mean, we actually do our research. What do you think? This is MSLSD, the morning schmo? No. We got plenty of stuff. Please, come on the program. Go ahead.
This is about distracting and taking people away from the issues that really are at hand in this case.
Well, let us be distracted just for 30 minutes, Keith X, please. Just let us be distracted for 30 minutes. That's all we ask. Then we can focus on the real needs of the American people. That is, destroying the Constitution, opening the borders even more. Yeah, we can focus on that. Trashing police officers. Let's see, what else is on the agenda? Oh, yes. Destroying what's left of our private health care system. I mean, we can go on and on and on. We got a whole agenda here. We understand. I'll even let you speak to it. Keith X, I'll speak to your agenda. But first we want to talk about you. To give you a fair chance. I do believe. Give you equal time here. I am the fairness doctrine. I'm serious. We're going to reach out again to Keith X. Last time they politely blew us off. Let me say this, Keith X. I hope your refusal to come on this program isn't as a result of my faith. See, ladies and gentlemen, you got to use liberalism against liberals. I hope, Keith X, your refusal to come on this program isn't because of my faith, sir. Or let me try this liberal one. In fact, if you come on this program, Keith X, then it'll demonstrate that you're not what people say you are. Was that one good, Rich? I think so. So we would like him to come on the program. We will try again. We will go over his record carefully and honestly. I will talk about his associations, talk about things he's written, the video. You know, the Jews in Israel in this country, he talked about that. We played that the other day. I won't bore you with that, but I just, you know. And let me say this, Keith X. You really should come on my show. I'm the first non-Democrat, non-communist, non-socialist, non-progressive, non-statist, non-liberal, all of the above. I'm the first non-one of them to endorse you, to be the chairman of the DNC. Show me a little respect, man. And come on the program just for 30 minutes with commercials. So in the end, you're really talking, what, 20 minutes? We want to endorse you. I mean, come on the air and I'll endorse you in person. I think he and I have, what do you call it? Some kind of Zen thing going on. I think this could work. I really do. Two men with absolutely nothing in common, talking to each other. I think we can show America the way. He's Muslim, I'm Jewish. I'm pro-American, he's anti-American. I believe in liberty. He doesn't. I believe in national sovereignty. He doesn't. I believe in the state of Israel. He doesn't. I never worked for Farrakhan. He did. I wouldn't be caught dead with this Muslim Brotherhood front group or CARE. He loves them. See that? Now, notice I'm reaching out to him and he's not reaching out to me. There's another one. Did you notice that? He knows who we are. We've contacted his office before. Here I am trying to reach out to my fellow man, and what does he do? Slaps me. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
I've talked about the Democrat nullification movement. They call them sanctuary cities. And I said this nullification movement has its roots, actually, in the Confederacy of old. So this is a confederacy of new, a confederation of cities and states that are nullifying federal law, in this case, legitimate, federally adopted immigration laws. Legitimate, federally adopted immigration laws that do not violate our Constitution, including the 14th Amendment. So we have this confederacy of nullification, or the confederacy of nullifying cities and states, I would call it. Now, there's an article I read, and there's a movement afoot among leftist kooks in California who want California to secede from the Union. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrat is reverting back to form. Secession and nullification. So you have a nullification movement in California among the leftists, and you have a secession movement among the leftists in California, as well as a nullification movement, but you have a nullification movement in all these cities and some states. So the Democrat Party is reverting to form. It trashes the Constitution. It trashes the Republican nature of the Constitution, small r republic. It demands nullification. Now we have the largest state in the Union, the leftists, demanding secession. And apparently you and I are the purest right-wing nuts. When all we say is follow the Constitution. Well, you must be crazy. You must be a purist. What the hell's wrong with you? You got to be out of your mind. Well, all right, here we go. Darren, Grand Junction, Colorado, the great KNZZ. Go! Yes, Darren. Are you there, Darren? Darren. Wasn't the guy on Mr. Ed, wasn't his name Darren, Mr. Producer? Are you too young for that? I remember his name. I remember the guy, one guy's name was Wilbur, like the new Commerce Secretary. Wilbur. Our buddy Ray, Livermore, California, the great KSFO. How are you, sir? Great.
Denali, Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, my brother.
You too, my friend. You too.
You asked the question, why does the Democrat Party exist? And I would have to say, under the leadership of B. Hussein, social justice and addressing income inequality, in addition to everything everyone before me has said, add those two things, which really means wealth redistribution and making somebody else pay for my stuff, is basically what he's about. And I think Obamacare is the greatest example of that. It's a huge wealth grab, taking from one sector of the economy and pushing it to another.
So, in the end, they would turn us into Venezuela, you're saying?
Yeah, if they had their way, but they would do it with good intentions, Mark, and that's the thing. Their intentions. Well,
now let me slow you down. Do you really think that Bernie Sanders and and Chuck Schumer and Pelosi are doing it with good intentions. I actually think they're quite evil, frankly. I'll tell you where I'm going with this, Ray. And not to make this too complicated. There are the Rousseauians and the Hegelians. Now, they're different. But Rousseau was this guy that basically, and he was always depressed and all the rest. He had a breakdown. But in any event, this was a guy who believed in destroying the society that is, destroying it. The churches, the civil society, whatever it is, and democracy, little d democracy, the point the other gentleman was making, little d democracy. This is crucial. And basically, you'd have a legislature which represents little d democracy, and then you'd have an executive, an administration, which has as its only purpose to implement the general will and the general welfare of the people. And so, of course, what this does is absolutely destroy all traditions, all customs, everything you've learned from history. It blows them out for this great utopia. This, I think, is where they're coming from. This is what Robespierre and so many of the other, the head cutters, the guillotine aficionados and so forth during the French Revolution, this is what they supported. It's a very, very dangerous ideology.
But didn't Rousseau also go on to understand that they weren't going to get a revolution of the masses, that wasn't going to happen, and therefore he pushed towards his socialist agenda through government?
No, he believed that people would rise up. He absolutely did.
But see, the left isn't getting that, and so that's why they're using government to...
No, but the point is, it's one thing to be theoretical. It's another when these things happen. So what happens? So you have this revolution. They had a very, very violent revolution, and I don't think Rousseau necessarily would have supported a violent revolution, although the word violence appears once or twice in his writings. But that said, you got to clear out all the obstacles to this pure democracy. You've got to clear, otherwise the general welfare of the people can never be manifest. It can never be accomplished. And so there is clearly a part of that in their thinking, is it not? Nobody's allowed to make more than somebody else. Everybody should have stuff for free. These institutions, the separation of powers, get in the way. They get in the way of nirvana. They get in the way of paradise. They get in the way of all these things. Ray, I got to go. Thanks for your call. I don't have time to get into Hegel, but I'll do that another day, I promise. His historic dialecticism and this notion of historical progress, and had a great influence on Marx, even though Marx altered it, talked about material historicism, so forth. I don't want to get in the weeds right now. I'm just saying there's an ideology, or at least a common thread, an ideological thread in the way the left thinks today. A lot of the followers in the Democrat Party don't know anything what we're talking about, but the bosses and the leaders, whether they know what we're talking about or not, this is what they're doing. It's a complete trashing of a representative republic. I'll be right back. You know, last month, I was able to offer you a wonderful deal from Simply Safe, $200 off the award-winning Defender security system. And it was a huge success. It was a blowout. And it was so popular, I got a hold of the folks at Simply Safe, and I said, why don't you bring this back for the holidays? And you know what they said? Okay. So for a limited time, you can take $200 off Simply Safe's Defender package. This system has everything you need to protect your home, an arsenal of 17 security sensors. There's a panic button, and I think that's crucial, and a blaring siren to scare off would-be intruders. With a wireless connection to authorities, you have police dispatched the minute something happens. Your family, your pets, your home, everything. Everything stays safe around the clock. You get 24/7 monitoring for only $15 a month. And with Simply Safe, there's no long-term contract. If you don't want to stay, you don't stay. Now, if you didn't jump on this deal last month, may I encourage you to do it now? keep your home safe, get $200, go to simplysafemark.com, simplysafemark.com. The offer ends very soon, so you'll want to do it now. Remember, I'm off the air for 2 weeks after this week, so I want to encourage you to act now. SimplySafeMark.com for $200 off your Defender security package. That's SimplySafeMark.com. You know, when I start going on things and get into philosophy and so forth, I always wonder, how far should I go with this? And then I remind myself, you folks are the smartest people in any audience, in any format. You tell me you want to hear this stuff. And next year we're going to talk a lot more about this sort of thing. We just will, among other things. Jeff, Livermore, California, the great KSFO. I can say it. Go right ahead.
Hi, Mark. Well, you're asking...
They're not preempting us with college basketball lately, are they, on the great KSFO?
Oh, gosh, no. No, it's you.
Oh, just want to make sure.
Wait a minute. I'm on satellite. Never mind. I don't.
Oh, you're on satellite. All right.
Yeah.
All right, go right ahead.
Anyway, Mark, so this is a really great question you were asking about what's the Democrat Party for, what's it good for. I think it provides a voice for hordes of government workers and bureaucrats and folks who feed off the state who are really...
Hold on, can I tell you a little secret?
Yeah.
About 35% of the people who work in the bureaucracy, about 35% of our teachers as well, are not left-wing kooks. Many of them are Republicans trying to do the right thing. Now, don't get me wrong. There are the paper pushers, and they outnumber the good ones. Don't get me wrong about that. And there are certain bureaucracies that should exist and certain bureaucracies that shouldn't exist. But I just wanted to let you know. Go ahead.
Well, Mark, I know of what I speak. I actually do work for a large federal agency to which I do not want to name. But so I feel like I have some credibility on this. But I guess I want to say is that these folks are looking, the people in the Democrat Party, they're really out to control other people, and they feel like the Democrat Party is there to give them a voice. I mean, it's really the modern version of slavery, is what I was telling your call screener. I mean, way back when, it was about, much more about controlling, I
wouldn't call it the modern version of slavery. It is the modern version of tyranny, however.
Yeah, it's for their own good. Doing it for their own good, but it's just slavery in another form and another name.
No, it's not slavery. It's tyranny.
Right. Okay.
You're not enslaved, are you?
What's that?
You're not enslaved, are you? In fact, you work for the government.
Well, I'd like to not think
the answer is
I am.
no, you're not enslaved. So it's not the modern version of slavery. It's a modern version of tyranny, where you're being bullied and tormented, where you're being pushed around, where you're being told whole kinds of things and so forth. But slavery is a very specific thing. All right, my friend, thank you. Okay. Let's go to Randy, Chicago, Illinois, the great WLS. Yes, Randy.
Hi, Mark. I think that the purpose of the Democrat Party is consistent with what Obama mentioned in his first inaugural address about transforming America, and by doing that, he had to lessen our position on the world stage. He did that by lowering our standard of living, lessening our influence on the world by reducing our military, and also damaging.
But let me just stop you right there. This is what I find so mind-boggling. You're born in this country, and yet you set out as president. You become president to weaken your own country. So even if you believe in redistributing wealth and doing all these other things, why do you believe in that? Yellow.
Yeah, I'm pondering that.
I'll tell you what I think the answer is. Because even though he's president of the United States, and even though these leftists are serving in our national Congress and so forth, they don't believe in the United States. They believe in the United Nations. That is, they believe they're citizens of the world, in addition to being citizens of the country, but their philosophy, I should say ideology, is bigger than America. It's a human ideology. Just like Marx said, it's not enough for nation states to advance the cause of, in their case, communism. Communism knows no boundaries. It's a humanitarian thing. Well, I think the left, while not flat-out Marxists in every case, I think they think the same way. That this whole notion... Remember I did this story the other day, if you were listening, about this goofball saying that states... That's an old way of thinking. We don't need states anymore. Remember that idiot? We don't need states anymore. I think they honestly believe we don't need countries anymore.
I think you're right. I mean, you can tell that by what they think about our boundaries. They don't believe in the sovereign nation.
No, and particularly our country they don't like, because our country has a constitution that limits their power. Whereas if you look at China or Russia, this is why I get furious with phony conservatives who keep talking up Putin. Putin's not anything like us. All right, Randy, good call. Chicago. Boy, Chicago in the winter. Good Lord. Cold and windy. Brock, also Chicago in the winter, the great WLS. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I mean, look, I'm good, thank you.
Great. Thanks for being such a strong voice for the conservatives. Hey, I got a quick thing I wanted to kind of say on the question you asked about the Democrats and their goals. You know, I think the one thing to point out is that everybody who's tried the things that they are doing now, whether it's, you know, some sort of a tyrannical dictatorship or anything along those lines, has failed. And really, I think these people are, and boy, I hate using this word, but graciously trying to make it actually work, which we all know is never going to happen. I mean, if we just look back at history, we know that it will never work.
But the left always says it's never really been tried the right way. Have you noticed that?
Of course. Well, a broken record, huh?
In other words, we've never had the right people. We've never tried it the right way. We've never had the right circumstances, you know, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
The biggest problem, though, isn't it, is they want to rejigger society and really remake human nature, and they're just not going to be able to. That's why they get increasingly violent and aggressive and centralized and brutish and all the rest of it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
All right, Larry. I mean, Brock, stay. By the way, Brock, what's the temperature in Chicago today?
Well, you know, I'm looking down right now. It says 10 degrees, but I can tell you it feels more like negative 20 with the windshield. So, boy.
And how long have you lived in Chicago?
Well, pretty much my whole life. So.
You never get used to this, do you?
No, and you know what? This is the first time this year that it felt like this, and I tell you, it just comes up and it hits you right on the side of the head and knocks you right down.
Because you guys get a lot of wind too off the lake.
Oh, absolutely, and it makes it makes it 10 times colder.
It's amazing to me that and yet it's the third largest city. People like to live there. I get it, but the winters are brutal.
Absolutely, but the summers are gorgeous.
Yes. Well, thank you, my friend. That's why we have what we call Florida for the winter, and then you go where you want during the summer anywhere, except Yuma, Arizona. David, Pottsboro, Texas, the great WBAP. Go.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
All right, how are you?
I'm great. You know, I think you're right with this question because you have to identify the evil, and you have to know its goals before you can exercise it. And so what I think is it seems to be a worldwide movement. The elite want to seize control of our wealth primarily so that they can force us into a cashless society.
Let me ask you a question, because you raised something that got me thinking a little bit. I hear, and Trump has said this too, that they're very excited about these nationalist populist movements all over the world. May I ask you a question? Why would we be excited about nationalist populist movements in countries like Germany or France?
Why wouldn't
or these other? Why would we be? Why do we think that's helpful to us?
I think they want to centralize and control all of the money.
No, okay. All right, thanks for your call. Well, you're too focused on the money. My point is this. Do we really want a Germany that's populist nationalist, as these terms are thrown around? Where they go on, we only want to create German jobs, and if you're going to go overseas to America and shut down factories here, well, we're going to put 35%. We don't. I find it mind-boggling that people in this country, not many, but the children with microphones and cameras in their faces, I can't believe they go, yes, this is a national movement, a worldwide movement. We're very excited. Excited about what? A nationalist populist Germany? A nationalist populist France? You understand what that means? How does that benefit us? Well, what about the European Union? Screw the European Union. That's not the choice. I'm just asking. Things have really been turned on their heads, haven't they, ladies and gentlemen? Now we're cheering a nationalist populist movement in Germany. Yes, go get them. I mean, wait a minute. And then we have the left in this country reverting to old, the Democrat Party, supporting nullification, and in the biggest state, there's a movement afoot for secession. And all we want is a nice, secure, healthy, happy, constitutional republic, which is what the Constitution provides. Hey, what are you, purists? What, extremists? No. Yeah, what are you? And yet, our public officials are supposed to put one hand on the Bible, the other hand in the air, and swear faithful allegiance to that Constitution. What are they, purists? No, we're constitutionalists. All right, I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Is most of the time a disgusting rag on the internet. Fourth Estate, covering politics in a post-truth America. Incredible. A post-truth America. Yeah, because the media have been so great. The WikiLeaks leaks, if they've demonstrated anything, they've demonstrated what a bunch of prostitutes so many of the journalists are. Hacks for the Democrats, Praetorian Guard media, as I call them. Here's an example, Politico itself. Let's see, they do a hit on the Israeli ambassador, Ron Dermer. Israeli ambassador praises Frank Gaffney. Now, you would think Frank Gaffney had been Robert Byrd, you know, a member of the Klan or something. No, Robert Byrd was head of the Democrat Party in the Senate. Oh, you would have thought that maybe Frank Gaffney drove a staffer off a bridge and left her for dead. Now, that would be Ted Kennedy. Oh, I'm sorry, a little confusing around here. You would think Frank Gaffney maybe had sex with a 19-year-old intern and was held in contempt of court by a No, excuse me, that's Bill Clinton. No, Frank Gaffney's a conservative, so he's under attack. And God forbid the Israeli ambassador, who's a great man, is praising Frank Gaffney as he receives an award. Yes. More crap over there on their site. Politico. I want to tell you about CRTV. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you an example. I told you when we started Levin TV that I would do about 200 shows a year. Now, we've been doing it for 9 months, and I've done what will tomorrow be 180 shows. We're going to do well over 200 shows by the end of our full year, early March. That's because I, at Levin TV, I'm committed to doing exactly what I said I would do. So is Michelle Malkin. Michelle Malkin Investigates. An outstanding show. She's an outstanding lady. Steve Crowder. The Steve Crowder program will come online in January. He's a great guy. I've gotten to meet him. He's hilarious. He's solid. And he approaches conservatism from a different perspective. Absolutely terrific. I'm proud of them. And there will be other people coming on board and eventually doing programs too. And we can't wait for that to happen now, can we? And you can watch it on multiple platforms. If you have a Samsung Smart TV, you can do it through Roku. It's one of the most popular sites on Roku. And we'll tell you how to do it. If you have an iPhone or an Android, you can watch it when you're on vacation, this Christmas or Hanukkah. It's absolutely wonderful. You can take it with you. And we have other ways of doing it too. I want to encourage you to sign up now, though. Again, if you're a vet or if you're in the military, if you're in law enforcement or in firefighting, the $99 annual subscription, a full 1 year, not monthly, full 1 year for all the shows and platforms is $69 for you. So we're taking $30 off, and I think everybody out there who's not in these professions agrees it ought to be done. For vets, military, Police officers, law enforcement generally, and firefighters, if you act now. The number, 844-LEVIN-TV, 844-LEVIN-TV. And let me tell you, it is a great gift. If you want to give a gift to a vet or somebody in the military or in law enforcement or firefighting, you get this break, you can give it as a gift. That's what I want to encourage you to do. Now, let's say you're not in any of those professions. Okay. You can get your annual subscription as a member for $99, and you can get a free copy of Liberty and Tyranny, the hardback copy, the original type, with it's brand new, and we will ship it to you for free. That's a $20 value if you act now while the books last, and if you already have a copy of the book, you can give it to somebody. So I would encourage you to do that. And here's how you do it. 844-LEVIN-TV, 844-LEVIN-TV. They'll tell you how to do everything and set you up, answer any of your questions. Or go to crtv.com. You can go online, crtv.com. And I know you'll enjoy it, and I hope you do. And we have a great Levin TV tonight, as a matter of fact. Great detail. I go into what's going on in Aleppo, which will break your heart. Absolutely break your heart with our good buddy Vladimir Putin and his puppet Assad. The slaughter that's going on in that city, they're leveling that city. Babies, they're hitting playgrounds, they're hitting schools, they're hitting everything. They're just blowing it off the face of the earth. And we will have some graphics, and we will have some video, and we will have some citizen reporting, people who are there. One in particular, a teacher with a daughter. It's just heartbreaking, but you need to know what's going on with our good friend, Vladimir Putin. What, do you want to go to war with him? The dumbest, I don't mind smart arguments, but these Trumpisms, it's just too much from these pseudo-conservatives with microphones and TVs in their faces. Vladimir Putin is not our friend. He's just not. I'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. May I ask you a question? Why is virtually everybody on Fox defending Rex Tillerson? He led the way for ExxonMobil to help fund Planned Parenthood. I don't care if he was in the Boy Scouts. Well, there you go. In the Boy Scouts, he supported, he opposed the Boy Scouts' effort to maintain its policy with respect to gay scouts. Gay scout leaders. That's their position. What else did he do? He has embraced man-made global warming and at one point embraced carbon emissions taxes. So even if you put all this Russian stuff aside, which is hard to do, why in the hell would they support him? I'll give you some of the reasons. I call this a Trumpism, rhyming with orgaz. You got it? It's a Trumpism. It really doesn't matter. He could propose Bozo the Clown, and they'll tell you Bozo the Clown has performed in Moscow. He's well known. He's an outsider. He's an independent businessman. It's the sort of person we need. Bozo the Clown. Different. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I get some of it. But this guy Rex Tillerson, vast majority of us never heard of him before. Now, on top of that, he's being pushed by a cabal of establishment insiders. Condoleezza Rice and Robert Gates run a lobbying firm. They call it a consulting firm. It's so gauche to say lobbying. Oh, we don't lobby. We consult. Oh! And that way we can actually charge more. Anyway, they have been pushing him and introduced him to Trump. It's amazing they have access to Trump. But I guess if Kanye West does, then who doesn't? Now, here's the thing. In their little lobbying consulting firm, ExxonMobil, that is Mr. Tillerson's operation, was and is a client, a paying client. Then you have James Baker. James Baker despises Israel. Does a lot of business, his law firm, with the Arab countries, because it's a law firm heavily into energy law and litigation. And so James Baker also backs Tillerson. And James Baker's law firm also represents a big company in Russia. So he's for Tillerson. So what happened to the establishment, the anti-establishment, the outsider, insider? Hey! He knows a lot of people, you know. He does a lot of business all over the world. Wow. Now, that's the second point. The third point. Weren't we supposed to hate international corporations and globalists? Well, what happened to that? What, are you a globalist? No, I support commerce. Oh, you must be a globalist. No, I'm a capitalist, not a globalist. You a free trader? Yeah. Ah, globalist, there he is, right over there. People who don't understand what the word globalist means or globalism means. It means, again, for the 4 billionth time, surrendering your sovereignty, your constitution to an international organization or another country or group of countries. That's a globalist, not somebody who believes in commerce. That's called a capitalist. Now, so the guy's a globalist. The guy's establishment. The guy's a liberal on many things. And then number 4, as we know, he has his head so far up Vladimir Putin's butt that they're buddies, and Vladimir Putin gives him the order of this or the order of that in 2013. Hey, that's good. Remember, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I don't keep my enemies close. What the hell? I lock the door. I bolt the door. I pull out one of my 5 weapons. My enemy's at the door. That's not a good idea. No, keep them close. Come on. So what really is it about this guy that recommends him for this position? Well, he was interviewed, I think. Or at least Donald Trump got the input from Eric Trump. Really? Look, Eric's been to a lot of countries. You know, he's talked to a lot of people. Oh. Well, that's certainly helpful. And what else recommends the man? Well, I mean, he's worked his way up from the bottom as an engineer all the way to the top. He's been with Exxon all this amount of time. That shows you how smart he is. No, it doesn't. Now, here's the other thing. This idea that having all these businessmen in government is a great thing. I don't mind a mix of, skills and backgrounds and all. I got all that. It's not necessarily a good thing at all. Depends on the person. You wouldn't say Tom Steyer, who is a fantastically successful billionaire businessman and also a left-wing kook, should be in the government, right? Hey, look, he's a businessman, right? Right? Come on. You don't think Buffett, a.k.a. Buffet, should be in the Trump administration, right? He's a lib. He's incredibly successful, but he's a lib. So you have liberal businessmen, liberal corporatists, who advance a liberal policy agenda. Doesn't mean they're not good at what they do, and many of them are crony capitalists, right? Many of them are crony capitalists. Not all of them, obviously. So a businessman per se, who cares? They have to have the right, approach, the right policy agenda, the right principles and so forth. And this guy on domestic stuff's a big lib. No, you don't understand. He was an Eagle Scout. Well, gee, Eagle Scouts have never been libs when they get older. That much we know for sure, right? Wrong. Man's got a long record, a long career well beyond the point when he was an Eagle Scout. This is the line that's going on all over the place. And I like Eagle Scouts. There's nothing to do with that. But you really can't be a conservative, can you, and support this guy? Because other than the platitudes, other than the fortune cookie platitudes, what's the big deal here? I think in some sense Trump likes the chairman of the board and CEO of the biggest corporation on the face of the earth reporting to him. Or Eric was very, very impressed with him, and maybe that had a big impact. I told you earlier there's a report Ivanka Trump will have her own office in the West Wing. It's the office apparently usually a first lady has. But she's going to need her office, and then you're going to have Jared, the son-in-law, both of whom are liberal Democrats, by the way. I don't mean to offend. These are what we call facts. I'm not having Trumpisms. I'll leave that to other people. Both of whom are liberal Democrats. And, of course, Ivanka is going to be pushing the climate agenda, as I told you 2 weeks ago, last week, this week. Apparently some of the backbenchers have caught on, and that's okay. They ought to. And that's a problem. And you'll watch this play out. It's a problem. Now, in the meantime, they're going to, this is a bit of schizophrenia. They're going to go after the guy who's been nominated for the EPA. You want to know what they're going to base that on, the Democrats? I've already said. He's a climate denier. Now, who the hell is a climate denier? Do we have climate? Yes. Well, he's a climate denier. He's a climate change denier. Well, who even denies that the climate changes from time to time? That's not the issue. The issue is man changing the climate? The answer is no. No, it's an open question, says Trump. No, it's not. It's an open, now shut question. Like you said during the primaries. And Al Gore had a very impressive meeting. He was very, very thrilled about it. And if this is going to be Ivanka Trump's cause celeb, we're going to have a problem with this, aren't we? No, we're not. Why? Outsider mark. Anti-establishment. Yes, I know. And then, of course, 2-3 years down the road, when some of these things are being done, the Rockettes in this business. So you hear right now. You know exactly what they're going to say when you turn them on. Same with TV. They're going to say this to you, which they always do. 2 years ago when I said, watch out for this climate change thing, none of them are saying it that I'm aware of. None of them. Boehner was a great guy. That's what they used to say. McConnell's a great guy. Because they get caught up in the celebration, in the excitement of the Republicans taking over the House, or the Republicans taking over the Senate, or the Republicans now winning the presidency. And so all sensibilities, all ability to reason is thrown out the door. So, hey, whatever he says is good. Hey, I like Boehner. And then afterwards, well, what the hell's Boehner doing? Well, he was doing it on day one. Not what he told me. Or McConnell. That guy. Look at that guy's unbelievable. Now look at him. Long in the tooth, long in the chin, long in the neck. I don't know what's going on there. But his wife is the Secretary of Transportation, and we're told that's outstanding. Matter of fact, we should be very, very giddy about this. Giddy is the new word. She worked at Heritage, And not only that, she was a labor secretary under Bush. I don't know what the Bush people are so angry about. They're getting appointments all over the place. You got Elaine Chao, you got DeVos, you got, what else is going on here? You got all kinds of stuff going on. This guy Tillerson, the Bushes love him. They're all thrilled. What's the problem? It's the most conservative cabinet in world history. Man, it really is. It's more conservative than Reagan's, All right, got it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Mike, Seattle, Washington, on the Mark Levin app. How are you, sir?
Hello, great one. before I get to my point, I'd like to thank you for your show you did with Deborah Burlingame on 9/11. I'm a retired captain from a major U.S. airline. I was flying that day in the cockpit, and I'm glad that you remembered.
Oh, my goodness, and she is absolutely remarkable woman, isn't she?
Oh, just wonderful. It was a wonderful shows, and I just appreciate you taking the time out to do those for us.
No, it was my honor. Thank you, sir.
As far as the Democrats are concerned, I think that their dream is total socialism, but they have to be practical. I think the starting point is 51% socialism and 49% capitalism to redistribute the wealth, because they need us, the producers, to finance them through control of the tax policy, banks, courts, property.
But, Mike, let me ask you a question. They know this doesn't work. And if it's taken to its true extreme, they know that it is a violent collapse of a society. Now, we don't even need to theorize about this. It happens all over the world. It's happening in Venezuela. And then these are followed by police states in many respects, hard police states in some cases, softer police states. Europe is filled with the police state tactics on what you can and cannot do. I mean, and yet they still promote this.
I agree. It's just like the old adage that, you'll sooner or later run out of other people's money, and that, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. But
I just think they can do it the right way this time, or a better way, and they can continually adjust it to make it right.
They have a mindset that they think that yes, they know better than everybody else. That's the flaw. That's the flaw right there. Anyway, I just appreciate everything that you do, Mark. Been a big fan. I got everything that you put out, and I attended the Michelle Malkin event here in Seattle on Monday. She's a wonderful lady. I'm really enthused about CRTV, and congratulations on all your success. And just keep doing what you're doing. You're fantastic. And
wow. Hey, Mike, I'm going to tell you something.
Yes, sir.
Many of the people in your field or your former field are fairly conservative, because what do? You look down the roster of the passengers in the plane. Is that what the captain does?
No.
Somebody does, because they often come back and say hello to me.
Well, we as a labor group, even though we're a white-collar labor group, the vast majority of us are conservative. And
do you know every talk radio host is part of a labor union too? They must drive them nuts. Conservative talk radio.
Well,
anyway, yes.
I know. I do believe in capitalism. I do believe in private property rights and all the things that you've talked about many, many times on your show. But you can rest assured that the majority of the folks in the cockpit are conservative, and there's been times over the years when we had to negotiate the contracts and things like that. The Democrats, the liberals in the cockpit would say, well, you should vote your job. You should vote your job, to vote Democrat because of the union philosophy. And my take is that the politicians don't care about 60,000 airline pilots. They care about their bulk of their constituents. If we're going to negotiate with the company, we have to negotiate in our best interest, because really no one else really cares about our point of view. So we have to, the way I vote is I vote, staunchly conservative, because, things are bigger than me, the American way.
Now, Mike, organizing, quote-unquote workers, labor groups, goes back in this country a long way. I'm not talking about national unions of the sort that popped up after the Civil War and so forth. But before that period, there were guilds, there were associations, there were actually unions in the 1820s and 1830s. Did you know that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I did. But
well, then you should be doing this show, and I should be listening to you.
No. But all I can say is that, like I said, the bulk of us are conservative, and that, even though we like to have a good job and a good contract and good benefits and things like that, we're not forcing the general public to pay for. It's obviously just the people who buy tickets. And but
right, you're not out to change America. You're out just to deal with your workplace. All right, I got to run, Mike. God bless you, my friend. You take care. Well, great call from Mike. Look, I got a lot of union members who are friends of mine who listen to this program and so forth and so on. I don't paint with a broad brush. I just don't. On the other hand, I don't believe economic policy should be set based on 80,000 votes out of 3 states either. I believe in a market system. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be right back. I got to give Huckabee his due. It doesn't look like he's begging for any kind of job. I feel sorry for Giuliani. I think it's pretty clear he wanted Secretary of State, and that didn't happen. Anyway, 'tis the season for gift-giving, holiday parties, and family get-togethers. Why not gift yourself and impress your guests with brand-new custom blinds from Blinds.com? I've been telling you about Blinds.com for months. But right now, they're offering their best deal out there, 20% off everything on their site. Blinds.com makes it easy for the selection, to ordering, to the installation of your custom blinds. Even if you make the wrong measurement or pick the wrong color, they'll remake your blinds for free. They'll even help you decide on the perfect look with a free online design consultation, plus free samples and free shipping. Lots of freebies. Whether it's one room or your whole home, take advantage of Blinds.com's incredible year-end savings and give your home the look you've always dreamed of. For a limited time, get 20% off your entire order. This is their best deal out there. Just go to Blinds.com, use promo code Levin by December 31st for 20% off your entire order. That's Blinds.com, promo code Levin. Blinds.com, promo code Levin. Rules and restrictions apply. Well, there's a friend of mine, a professor by the name of William Jacobson, Bill, who keeps an eye on a number of things at his wonderful website called Legal Insurrection. And he alerted me to something that's absolutely pathetic and unbelievable that's going on. Bill, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Tell us what's going on.
Sure. As you know, Mark, a lot of what I follow is this anti-Israel movement in the U.S., kind of the fringe left wing, the Islamists, and all of that sort of stuff. And there was an event in the town where I live and teach. I teach at Cornell Law School in Ithaca, New York, upstate New York, which really is quite astounding. A teacher allowed anti-Israel activists to come into a third-grade classroom and present what amounted to a propaganda event against Israel. They brought in an activist from Code Pink. You know about Code Pink. They brought in an activist who lives in the West Bank, who's best known for using children to create these viral videos where he sends them out and they approach Israeli soldiers and try to create a confrontation for the cameras. And they brought them into this classroom to teach essentially anti-Israel activism. It was so bad that they not only presented this crazy program, they also called upon the children to become activists against Israel and to become, quote-unquote, a freedom fighter for Palestine. And that was completely outrageous. I found out about it because I cover these things and I investigate these things, and I exposed it. This was about a year ago based on what I could find out. The school district, to its credit, condemned the event, but they wouldn't give me all the documents. I filed a Freedom of Information Law request to get the video of the event, to get the documents and everything. They fought me in court for almost a year over this, but I finally got
But the school district fought you?
Yes, the school district did not want to give me. They gave me some documents, but you know how it goes. They give you the stuff that's not really important and good,
right.
and they redacted things so heavily, you'd think I had requested CIA memos. These were emails in about a third-grade event, heavily redacted, and I had to go to court, and I ultimately won. It took almost a year, but I ultimately won. And I finally got the video. Now, it's not a complete video, it's a partial video, and it absolutely floored me. As bad as I had expected this to be, it was worse. And I also learned, because the court ordered them to turn over to me a memo they wouldn't give me, that the school principal had tried to cover this up, and she was reprimanded for it. That when this was originally exposed by me, she issued a statement, this is a school principal in an elementary school, saying there was no anti-Israel rhetoric, this was just about peace and love and so on and so forth. And, of course, it wasn't. The children were absolutely shaken. I posted on my website the video and the screenshots of how they're reacting to this with this anti-Israel venom, and that one of the kids had parents complained he was having nightmares. And the whole point of this, and you've been kind enough to have me on before to talk about these anti-Israel people, it's not just about Israel. This is taking place in a public third-grade class. There were other teachers there. There was staff there. Nobody said a word about it, and they tried to cover it up. And this is really a microcosm of what's happening to our educational system. We are allowing these activists, not just into college. Everybody knows about college. It gets tons of press, but into high schools and elementary schools. And you rarely get video of it because most people can't just walk into an elementary school and just start shooting video. And these
how did this video come to be?
Well, because the activists they brought in were quite proud of this event. They still are quite proud of it. They videotaped it and they sent it to the school. And the reason I only have partial is that one of the videos they sent got corrupted in the email. You know how a file can sometimes get corrupted. And I've hired somebody to try to undo that. But the one that wasn't corrupted, they're proud of it. They circulated this thing to the school at least. And that's how the school got the video. The school didn't ask them to videotape it. They just did it on their own. And to this day, they defend it. And so, you know, the whole point here is that you normally don't get proof of this. We all
Where
know
the hell is the school board? I mean, somebody ought to pay a price for this stuff.
Well, and nobody really has. The school superintendent came out and condemned the event, but the only thing that's happened to any of the people in the school is one person got a letter of reprimand in her file. Nobody else was disciplined about this. Apparently, everybody went along with it. It was an attempted cover-up. They fought me for a year in court, and now we have the video. And this is really a wake-up call for people, and again, not just with regard to Israel. The things that are going on at the youngest levels are absolutely astounding. And then you wonder why by the time they get to college, they have all this nonsense in their head, and they're making all these demands of political correctness, all the other things. It's because the school system has nurtured this for many years.
Well, let me ask you this. The teacher, anything happened to the teacher?
Nope.
The teacher's still there?
Teacher's still there. Nothing happened to the teacher. Nothing.
Okay, but here's the problem. How will they know if the teacher isn't saying other things to these kids year after year after year? There's not going to always be a video in there.
That's right, and that's the whole point. And there's usually not a video. If these activists hadn't thought this was the greatest thing that ever happened in school and videotaped it, this would have gone down the memory hole. Nobody would have really known exactly what happened because they tried to present it when I wrote about it, because I knew if they're bringing in this guy from the West Bank with his history, if they're bringing in this Code Pink person, this is not an educational event. I knew exactly what it would be because I know who these people are. And so you're right. We don't know what's going on, and the school district, while it did condemn the event, as far as I can tell, has not implemented any new monitoring system or anything else, and they were very defensive about it when I tried to get documents from them.
Do we know anything more about the teacher? Has she been there or he been there for a while? I mean, what's their background? Do we know much?
I don't know a lot, and you know the teacher is at fault here, but the whole system is really at fault because there were others in the room. It wasn't just this one teacher. This was for all of the third grade classes, I believe 3 classes.
How did they get in? Did they ask to come in, or the teacher or teachers asked them to come in?
They were supposed to come in to present a human rights program. They weren't supposed to come in to talk about the Israel-Palestinian dispute. They weren't supposed to come in to make inflammatory remarks about Israel. They showed a video. They showed a video to the students, and we have that video of another one of these people that this guy uses for his viral videos, where her name, believe it or not, is Jana Jihad. That's the name of the person. And she gave a 2 or 3 or 4 minute anti-Israel, very inflammatory, calling Israel terrorists, etc. And this is being shown to third graders in a U.S. public school classroom. And nobody in the room seems to object to it.
Well, you've exposed it big time here. And people, folks, people, you can, any people who want to see this, they can go to legalinsurrection.com, legalinsurrection.com. It's right there on the Sunday posting. You can watch the video yourself. And I want to thank you, Bill, for everything you do on your excellent website.
Okay, and thank you for having me on, Mark.
All right, take care of yourself. This kind of stuff's going on all over the country. It's almost by happenstance that you catch it. And then we have wonderful sites and organizations. The Legal Insurrection is just a great site. We're just very, very lucky from time to time. The left is just so diabolical. And this jihadist movement, whether it's in the name of the Palestinians or whatever it is just so outrageous. And we have these front groups, these hate groups in this country. And we have an Attorney General of the United States who talks to CARE. We have a President of the United States who meets with these groups. It's absolutely outrageous. And don't tell me that this school district didn't know this was going on right under its nose. This teacher should be punished. You bring in haters? You bring in haters like this to third graders? This should be a national issue. Of course it's not going to be a national issue. But unbelievable. The shoe were on the other foot, which it never is. If you had Jews in there talking about Palestinians, let me tell you something. Every fire alarm in the country would be going off. But this is different, of course. Absolutely appalling. Now, what's interesting is the first question I raised at the beginning of the show. What's the purpose of the Democrat Party? You're still flooding the call screen because this is what you want to talk about. It's amazing. Vincente, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the great KXEL. Go.
Great one. You got my respect, sir. I am an immigrant, come from Dominican Republic. In 2008, became a citizen of the United States and proudly sang the national anthem during my ceremony. One of the first questions that you asked was, what is the purpose of the Democratic Party? And I believe that the purpose is to divide and conquer. It's basically to create a society where no one can think for themselves, so they can always be in control of it. And actually, I didn't say that. It was Fisher Ames, one of our founding fathers.
Oh, yes, great man.
Said it. He said basically that we need to be careful with a segment of society that was out to destroy the Union as it was founded. And I am in love with American history because there's so much there to learn. But in reality, people don't pay attention to the fact that the Democratic Party is out there to divide and conquer, basically to destroy anything that have to do with the Constitution, kind of like Benito tried to do.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man, thank you. Yeah, Fisher Ames was brilliant. As I recall, he was self-taught. No, I'm mixing it. He's Harvard educated. Same thing. All right, let's take a call. Buck, Lovettsville, Virginia, beautiful area, the great WMAL. Go.
Mr. Levin, I'm happy to be your neighbor here in Virginia. I've got a great point that I think could help out my fellow listeners. But before that, I just wanted to say thank you. Once in a while, I'm not able to catch your show on WMAL, and I catch up on podcasts. And in exchange for that, I like to try to service your sponsors as much as possible. I bought some blinds, and I'm actually I'm looking for a security system soon. So I appreciate the podcast.
Simply Safe really is great. I've got it. I can tell you that.
You know what?
Now.
I'm looking at them right now, and I think I'm going to go with them. But I'm doing it because I appreciate your podcast. I get to catch up on your shows.
Thank you.
I don't get to catch it on the radio. But my point that I think could help your listeners, and it's a little bit off topic. I apologize. But I'm surrounded by liberals and Democrats, and I'm often talking to them, and I come at them from a different perspective. I literally take the politics out of conservatism and talk to them on a realistic level about what this country is about and what they want from their country. And when I say that, what I'm really doing is I'm taking the social issues out of politics, because that's what gets us all in the muck. And I'm taking the names. You know, as soon as someone starts saying Trump or Hillary or whatever, I just...
We're going to run out of time. Don't get mad at me. Go ahead.
No, I won't. But I set that aside, and I use what you've taught us, and I listen to you, and I use the knowledge. I mean, for instance, the 17th Amendment, nobody knows what that has done to this country. And I bring that up, and people are flabbergasted, Democrats, and I get them thinking about conservatism and the Constitution. and I owe it to you. And
well, first of all, it's you. It's not me. I'm very proud of you for pounding away and doing what you need to do out there. And Buck, I want to thank you for your call, my friend. I would listen longer, but we got to go. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Those of you who love guns, did you enter to win your elite gun from the United States Concealed Carry Association yet? If not, I wouldn't wait any longer because it's all going to end very soon. 5 of you will each win make it $1,600 to spend on any elite gun that you want. And you could be one of them. You can be one of the 5, but only if you act very, very fast. What elite gun is at the top of your Christmas list? The Sig Sauer 1911 Spartan or the Smith & Wesson R8? Now, you can head over to defendthem.com right now. You'll instantly lock in your 5 big chances to win. That's really all there is to do. $1,600 is a lot of money, but you're running out of time. Don't miss your opportunity to get in the coolest gun giveaway I've ever seen. And remember, your 5 chances to win expire very soon, so don't get left behind. Go to defendthem.com. That's defendthem.com for your 5 big chances to win the elite gun of your choice. That's defendthem.com, and it's a great organization, by the way. A wonderful organization. All right, let us go to Ed, Dallas, Texas, the great WBAP. Go, Ed.
Mark, thank you so very much. Wednesday is my only day off because I work in the service industry that I get to hear you live. Thank God for your app because I can hear you when I get off work.
By the way, the Mark Levin app is great, isn't it?
It is phenomenal.
It's free. You just download it right off our website. That's all you do.
I know, and it's free, and I love it. And I have 4 of your books, and I share them with the people I work with. The people I work with, I have some young libs that have no idea what liberty is like. I've talked to them about the Constitution. They have zero comprehension of the Constitution. And when I talk to them about what is going on with the oppression of Christians and Jews, but the total disregard of the oppression that comes down from the Muslim faith, they go, well, what's that all about? And I lay it out to them, and they go, you're kidding. I go, no, I'm not kidding. And I said, we are the Christian faith and the Judean faith is all about liberty and freedom and love and tolerance, whereas the other is all about
because these are faiths that have kept their roots, but they've gone through a Reformation process. They've kept their roots, they've kept their history, and I would argue Islam has not gone through that Reformation process. It has for individual Muslims, but as a whole it doesn't appear to have when you look at these majority or overwhelmingly majority Muslim countries in many respects.
Understood. But the thing that has made our country great and prosperous is because of the founding of our Constitution, and that's the thing that I point out to these servers that I work with, and these cooks, and these busboys, and these other people that I work with.
You're a good man, my friend. I got to run. That music means it's time to dance. We had great callers today. I want to thank you all. Absolutely spectacular. Ladies and gentlemen, Levin TV in 2 minutes. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel, and the radio tomorrow. Am I not a blessed man to have all of you out there? Yes, I am. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care of yourself.